Hi, Verbling. My name's Michaela. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. And right now we're talking about genetically modified food. It's perfect timing for me because it's lunchtime. I'm already thinking about food. So hopefully you guys will give me some good ideas about what I should eat. If anyone is interested in taking a private class with me, there's a deal running right now on Verbling for the Thanksgiving holiday. I think you get a free lesson. So you guys can take advantage of that. Or just send me a message and talk to me about my schedule. To start class off, I want to talk a little bit about food culture. So I'm going to ask, who is the best cook in your family? Ksenia, welcome back.
Hello again.
Good to have you. Ksenia, who is the best cook in your family?
I, of course.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Do you like to cook?
I like to eat, so if I want to eat, I have to cook.
That's a true story. And what do you like to make?
Actually, something sweet. Cakes, cookies.
Yes.
Yes.
That sounds wonderful. And how do you feel about genetically modified foods? Do you like them? Do you use them? Do you care?
I think all fish, yes, about salmon, I think is genetically modified. So I read that it's okay because it didn't affect it don't affect on us, so it's okay to eat genetically modified food.
All right. Jair, welcome to class.
Hello.
Jair, who is the best cook in your family?
My wife, for sure, is the best cook in my family.
What does she make that you like?
Everything, she is a great cook, and just a simple meal like rice with beans, with lettuce, and a piece of meat like chicken or beef.
Mm-hmm. The staples.
Yeah, sure, as well.
Does she ever use genetically modified foods?
No, we usually prefer to use organic food, but
And how do you know it's organic?
Because there are packaging and there is we can check where the food comes from. So because of that, we can see or realize if it is organic or not. Because the packaging there is information as well.
All right. And why do you avoid using genetically modified foods?
I don't avoid, but I prefer to use fresh food, or organic food when there is possibility. But when there is no possibility, I use a regular product.
Mm-hmm. All right. Lee, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello. Lee, who is the best cook in your family?
My mom is the best cook in my family.
What does she make that you like?
And she makes a lot of things. She cook every day for us. She cook rice, maybe barbecue beef or pork or chicken and soup, yeah, and salad, everything. But right now I'm learning to cook. I can cook. I can make cake, and I can make Thai tea or milk tea.
Awesome. So cake and tea, that's a pretty good combo.
Mm.
You're learning to be as good a cook as your mom?
Yeah, I think so.
And what do you think about genetically modified foods? Do you use them? Do you like them? Do you hate them?
I think I'm using it because I think all the food in the market have genetic modified.
Mm-hmm.
all our food are genetic modified, because right now genetic modified is make more production than the normal food, and
Mm-hmm.
they grow faster. They make a lot of production than the normal thing, and I think a lot of food we're using are genetic modified.
Mm-hmm. All right. Simone, welcome to class.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi. Who is the best cook in your family, Simone?
It's not me, I'm sure, but I don't know. Maybe it's my sister. I mean, she's not brilliant, but she can cook something like typical food from Brazil. She can cook feijoada. It's amazing.
Excellent. And do you guys use genetically modified foods?
Maybe we've been using without knowing. I don't know.
Yeah,
But
that happens a lot. It's hard to tell what's genetically modified and what's not.
yeah, because it's not labeled, so it's not
Mm-hmm.
like this is modified. So we never know.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. So many things are modified. I mean, corn and soy, it's like 90% modified, but it doesn't say, so you never really think about it when you're eating. I'm in the
Yeah.
same boat. I'm like, I don't know if it's modified or not.
And I'm not sure if it's a bad thing or not. Really, I'm not
Mhm.
sure. Maybe
Yeah.
sometimes it's for the best, So they're changing something that was not that good, and now it's a little bit better. Maybe it's
Mhm.
not only negative.
Yeah, totally. All right, Ken, welcome to class. Tell us, who is the best cook in your family?
For me, maybe my mother, probably. Yeah,
What does
and
she
not
make
me.
that you like?
I love Korean rice but actually, in terms of Korean rice, family often ask me for me to cook. Actually, they love my recipe of Korean rice, but my mother is good at Japanese food, Chinese food, a little bit Western food. Maybe her weak point is Western food, probably. Yeah,
So she doesn't make a
because
lot of hamburgers or anything like
yeah,
that?
because Western food came here, maybe past 50 or 60 years. So she she, but maybe, but she doesn't know so much about it. But yeah, but anyway.
Do you guys use genetically modified foods?
Yeah, you're talking about salmon. You know, salmon is very popular here, and especially salmon sushi and salmon raw fish is very popular. So I often eat it. And the other day I found an article which is said same thing. A lot of salmon available here is genetically modified food from maybe, I'm not sure, from Norway. I'm not sure the country, but anyway. So I realized, because I believe the salmon is healthy, you know, fish. I believe so, but in terms of these games, it could be risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
So aside from genetically modified, there's a lot of labels that we see on food, or sometimes something that's not labeled, but it's a distinct category of food. What are some other things that people look for when they're shopping? Aside from whether it's genetically modified, what are other things you might see labeled on a package?
Without conservants, without artificial flavors, colors,
Mm-hmm.
without fat.
Mm-hmm. What else?
Salt, maybe how many calories,
Yeah, that's important to know.
yes, and sometimes sugar, how much sugar. If there are vitamins as well, and
Mm-hmm.
yes, and something that we call, I don't know how to say in English, but we call allergenics, maybe something that you can eat and can cause a illness, maybe, or you can't eat, for instance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, something that might have like a little bit of milk or a little bit of soy. Antibiotic? Do you mean probiotic?
It's medicine.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
would a food
And
be labeled with antibiotic?
without antibiotics.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying. So no antibiotics. What would you see that labeled on? Not like cereal, right? Where would you see that?
On the meat, actually.
Mm-hmm. Definitely on meat. Anything else you guys can think of?
And kind of allergic, how can I say? Allergic ingredients might cause allergy.
Yeah, sometimes they'll warn you if it was, they'll say something like made in a factory where soy and nuts are packaged or something. So you know there might be like a trace of those things. Mm-hmm.
And how about like gluten-free, lactose-free for somebody have some reaction with that kind of ingredient?
Mm-hmm.
For example, with the patient have some disease in their intestine, in their, how to say it?
Their digestive tract?
Yes, yeah, intestine tract, and if they eat gluten, they will have something happen with them. So they're supposed to eat a gluten-free diet. Or
Mm-hmm.
lactose. Some patient, some people have some reaction with the lactose, so they have to drink the lactose-free milk.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Shelf life is something very important as well. The expired date.
Mm-hmm. Expiration, definitely.
Yep.
So let's talk about two of those labels specifically. There's a lot of labels, and the two that I'm most curious about are gluten-free, because gluten-free has become quite a fad, quite a trend. In the US at least, I don't know about the rest of the world yet, but there are many things being made gluten-free now, and I want to know what you guys think about that. Do you think that it's an excellent change, that we've been more accommodating to dietary restrictions? Do you think it's totally a made-up thing? Let's start with Ken. What do you think of gluten-free? Do you know anybody who's gluten-free? They don't eat gluten?
Yeah, nowadays it is reported in Japanese news, but still our main food is rice. Bread is is getting more eaten more and more, but still rice, people eat rice.
Mm-hmm.
So it's less careful than Americans or some other countries. People kind of bread is where the bread is the main food.
So what do you think of gluten itself? Do you try to eat gluten-free? Do you think it's important to avoid gluten, or?
I don't know, because I don't have so much information about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now, yeah, if I buy a bread, most bread maybe has gluten. It's very difficult to find gluten-free bread here.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually.
All right, thanks, Ken. Jair, how about you? Do you believe in being gluten-free or not? Do you know what gluten is?
Yes, gluten. Yes, I believe here in Brazil we have a legislation in all the packaging, the label. You need to put the information if their product is free, gluten-free or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I know some people that can't eat product with gluten. But I'm not sure for regular people if it is good or not. I think there is no problem, but there are many misleading information or many information that is not correct.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Ksenia, do you know anyone who's gluten-free? Do you think gluten is a bad thing or not?
Actually, I have a question. Gluten is something like starch. It's the
It
same?
is kind of like starch. Yeah, it's not the same exact thing, but it's like starch. And it's just like the stickiness of something like oatmeal has a lot of gluten in it, I think. It's like that sticky quality.
I don't know, it's something new for our country, but I use starch a lot in my cakes, but not a lot sometimes. I don't know actually. I think it's okay.
Cakes pretty much always have gluten in them because flour has gluten, wheat has gluten.
Yes, so it's very difficult to eat something without gluten, find something without gluten, but it's possible, but not so
Why do you think
tasty.
someone would want to do that?
Want to do that? To eat without gluten?
Yeah.
I think it's some person who freak about sports and health and something like that. But I think it's just, how to say, I forgot this word, are just not fair. So if you not drink and don't smoke and something, you actually died in an early age. But if you drink all your life, smoke from the 10, you will die at 100 years. We have such story in our country.
So
So
you're saying like sometimes people are just too careful and it really doesn't make a
it
difference.
doesn't work. Yes, it doesn't work.
Got
I
it.
think so. Yes.
All right. Thanks, Ksenia. Lee, what do you think about gluten-free things? Is it important to be gluten-free?
Yes, it's very, very important. With some people, they need a gluten-free diet. Some patients have celiac disease. They absolutely need gluten-free diet because my relative, some of them have some disease and they need the gluten-free diet. It's the disease that is automatically have when they was born already, and they have no choice. They have to be restricted with gluten-free diet. If not, they're gonna have symptoms like abdomen, bloating, diarrhea, and many symptoms. So I think it's very important.
Yeah, definitely. For some people, it's very important. So my experience so far has been, I agree that it's super important for certain people who have an allergy to gluten to avoid gluten. However, I also think there's a large percentage of people who are hypochondriacs. So they kind of like, they think they have a disease that they might not necessarily have. And a lot of times they don't even wait for a doctor to tell them they have it. It's like they just decide that they have it, which, they might know their body better than I know their body, but it is kind of unusual that 20 years ago no one really cared at all about gluten, and right now it's a super hot topic. Like everyone wants gluten-free stuff. I don't really see why, except for the small portion of the population that actually has an allergy. So it's hard for me to explain. I'm not gluten-free because I don't think it negatively affects me. But of course, there are lots of people out there who have digestive problems and need gluten-free stuff. So kind of an interesting room. And the other one I wanted to talk about is natural. So a lot of times you'll see packaging that says natural on it. What does it mean? And we'll go the other way this time. Lee, go first for us. If you see, we'll say eggs or potato chips, whatever. You've got one that's just the normal kind and the other that says natural. Which would you buy and why?
I'm gonna buy the natural thing, and I knew that it's more expensive than the normal thing because with the natural, maybe they raise, for example, for the chicken or the vegetable, they plant it and they raise it with the natural style. They don't use many things like a hormone to stimulate them to grow faster. So I would buy the natural thing. But I just heard the video I just heard the news that in chicken they use antibiotic a lot and it's gonna get antibiotic resistant. And although with the natural thing natural chicken, they still use the antibiotic in the natural chicken. So yeah, so antibiotic is the different story.
Definitely. Ksenia, what do you think about things labeled natural? Which would you choose and why?
I think just advertisement. Yes, because if I'm in the shop, usually I choose their how to say, oh my god, their biggest price, and actually it's always the good choice because it's tasty and something like that. In eggs, so if eggs in low price, oh my god, the cover of eggs when I crush it, it just crushed in so many pieces, so I'm afraid of the chicken, how they could do it. It's so, I don't know, awful eggs, but when I buy it, it's more, oh my god, how to say, biggest price. It's
Most
okay
expensive?
with the cover, yes, more expensive. It's a great, big, natural eggs. So it's my way to buy the product. I actually don't look at any signs, natural, and something
So
like
you buy
that.
whatever is the most expensive and trust that that's like the best product.
Yes, yes.
All right. Jair, what do you think of things labeled natural?
I think it is an option for someone that can pay more for the same product and are look for a healthier life. For me, natural means that the final product is not preserved with chemical, and the product or the plant were grow were grow with no chemical products or other stuff that it is not natural.
Okay. So you think it's preferable if possible, but, not for everyone.
Yes, for sure, because today we are in 7 billion people around the world. In 2050, we'll be at 90 billion people, if we continue using the same production method, maybe there won't be food to fill everybody around the world. And because we don't have a lot of land to increase production, so we need to become more productive, reduce waste, and maybe, of course, it is not possible to produce everything natural.
Yeah, that's actually one advantage of genetically modified foods is we can produce them more efficiently than other things. Takes less resources usually, and yeah. All right. Ken, what do you think about the term natural when it's on products? Do you think it's important, and why?
Maybe it's like a marketing thing. I think most product can be sold more expensive than if they labeled as natural. But who proves that? Who can prove that? And if I are very rich, maybe I would buy such a maybe self image stuff only. But sometimes how can I say, who defined the natural or who checked the natural? It's very vague concept, just the image. So
Yeah.
that's a problem about to believe such kind of thing to me. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. I think there's not a lot of, although I do want products that are more natural, it's hard to know which those are because it might say natural, but what does that mean? It doesn't mean very much. They could just say that it is and maybe it's not. It's sort of an opinion-based thing. So your opinion of what's natural might be different than what my opinion of natural is. So I agree. It's like, I want that, I like that, but it doesn't always make sense the way they label it. Any other other thoughts on those two topics before we move on? We're going to look at our article now about genetically modified salmon. So, similarly to the last couple classes, I'm going to copy paste the link and put it in the chat box. I want you guys to open it. I'm going to screen share what you're about to see, and then we'll listen to it. Okay, so when you open it, you all should be looking at this. Genetically modified salmon is safe to eat, FDA says. Now, I was expecting more of you guys to be kind of anti-genetically modified food. We're going to talk a little bit at the end about what are the advantages and the disadvantages of genetically modified food, but this is what the FDA has to say. Does everyone have it open? Is everyone ready? Shout out if you're not. I'll be keeping an eye on the chat boxes, so if you have any trouble, let me know in the chat boxes. And when you're ready, just click the blue circle and, of course, keep yourself on mute. Go ahead. Hopefully everyone's done. Okay. Ken, what are some of the advantages of this fish?
They produce more more eggs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Definitely. Jair, are there any other advantages you can think of for this fish?
Yeah, maybe the salmon can reach some place that today it is not possible because maybe the price is so expensive for certain countries or certain people in our society.
Could be
Maybe,
more available.
yes, more available and more affordable for some people. But I think for me, it is just uh, this GA has just this advantage.
Genetically modified food is only disadvantageous. Is that what you're saying?
No, about an animal, for instance, because I would agree, for instance, if you mm, if you uh, if you develop a salmon, for instance, if a lot of people were famine or starving, and you are producing something to feed them. But I think it is not the case of salmon, because someone who eats salmon, maybe he can afford chicken, pork, or beef, in my opinion.
Okay. Ksenia, what are any other advantages of this salmon?
Advantages?
Yeah, if you can think of any. Otherwise, we'll move on to disadvantages.
I think everything was said.
Okay, go ahead and go with disadvantages then. What are the disadvantages of it?
Actually, I think it can affect us. Like we have stories that American chicken, legs of chicken, affected a lot of people, and they actually were grown faster, faster than the person who didn't eat it. But I don't know it's true or not. And the disadvantages if this salmon escape into the ocean, it can compete or interbreed their wild salmon, and it will a big, I think, collapse in all nature.
All right, that's a pretty big disadvantage. Lee, can you think of any other advantages or disadvantages?
Yes, yes. I think the advantages is the productive for the company because it grows faster, so it's more benefit and more bonus for company. This advantage for the company, and the disadvantages is maybe I'm not sure because I read the article and listened to the article. Actually, I'm not sure what is the reason they don't like the genetically modified salmon. Because FBI already approved it, right? And no reason to not use it. But many scientists from many university and many people don't like to use it. Maybe because it's a genetically modified salmon, so maybe it's gonna get some different allergy to the people using it.
Could be. And I think that's one of the biggest disadvantages is that we really don't know what it might do. So, of course, in 100 years, it's possible we would look back and say, oh, yeah, it was this terrible unforeseen thing. Like, we couldn't have known, but then we found out. So it's like, it's hard to know, will it cause allergies? Or will it be harmful to the environment in some way? It's really hard to know.
Okay, so I got it. Maybe it's like a drug when the company just find out a new drug, so they need a time to monitor and to give a trial for that drug for a long time, and then they're gonna decide to use it or not. Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, that's true. But also, it's like it's kind of difficult because some of the possible disadvantages would be, I think, like Ksenia mentioned, that if some of these genetically modified species are actually allowed to populate the Earth, that it could actually cause kind of a big problem because we're messing with evolution, right? Like evolution was what created most things on the planet, and now humans are just like, nah, we don't want that. We want something else. So we could potentially kind of cause a problem, but it's hard for us to know that already.
Yeah. So that's why in the article they talk about the interbreed or something like that. So it's the genetically modified salmon. We're gonna interact with the normal salmon and give birth to the new genetic salmon.
Yeah, and that could be a problem for sure.
Yeah.
One other advantage that I don't think anyone talked about is that if we genetically modify and farm these salmon, it kind of takes pressure off the natural salmon population. So the natural salmon population can kind of thrive while we're using these other salmon for the general population. I think that's an advantage because for a lot of species that are endangered, they definitely need a break from all the human consumption. So this would be a good way to do that. Any other thoughts on the advantages or disadvantages of these genetically modified salmon?
I felt two things from this article. One is this company claim, accident won't happen. And even though accident happened, if they accidentally release that salmon to the wild, they cannot breed to wild salmon. They need to explain this mechanic more, because many people are worried about that. And from the anti group, they use the word Frankenfish. So it's kind of very emotional word actually. Frankenstein is symbolized failure of kind of this kind of artificial thing. So
Yeah,
they are a bit emotional. So maybe people need to check this kind of more rational sense.
definitely.
I think one of disadvantage is that the product won't be labeled as GE. So I think the consumer should have the right to decide and to know about the origin of the product or the salmon.
Definitely. Lee, did you have anything else to say? I thought I heard you trying to say something earlier. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just think about one more disadvantage of genetically modified salmon is when we eat it, it doesn't taste as good as a normal salmon. I'm not sure because I already ate salmon, but I'm not sure it's a genetic modified salmon or not. But back in my country, in Vietnam, we are a tropical country and we have many fruits in tropical country, and one of us is durian. Yeah, maybe many people don't like durian, but actually with the genetic modified durian, the taste is really different with the natural one. It tastes really different, and it doesn't delicious. It does not taste delicious as the normal durian.
Interesting. Yeah, it's hard. You have to, when you do a comparison, like one to the other, I'm sure you do notice some interesting differences. I had something the other day that was really weird. I forget what it was. I think it was tomatoes. They were like these little cherry tomatoes. And they were like super sweet and super crunchy, but in a very bizarre way. Like they were genetically modified. So it was weird because it was like someone sat in a lab and was like, people like sweet and crunchy tomatoes. But then they took it a little too far. Like it was too sweet and too crunchy. They were like, I don't know, little apples or something. Like it was weird. And it was kind of funny because most of the time they take the qualities that we like and they make them more intense. They make them better, bigger, sweeter. But then there's a point at which you're like, it's not like the same product that, it's not even like a tomato anymore. It's like a whole other thing. It's kind of funny.
Yes, I agree because in a tropical country, the tamarind,
Uh-huh.
I type it out in the chat box. Yeah, it's supposed to be sour, right? It's supposed to be sour, very, very sour. But with the genetic modify, it's so sweet. So it's not it anymore. It changed to the other. It's not it anymore. And
Mm-hmm.
when we use a lot of genetic modify, everything is messed up. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have their own they don't have their own characteristic anymore.
Yeah. It's very strange.
Mhm.
It's weird to think how much power we have. Any other comments, guys?
In terms of accident, the nuclear accident happened here, and before that, the electric company was a big sponsor of Japanese mass media. So they said electric company and media often say mass media remains silent, and electric company promote it 100% safe. But what actually happened there, they don't even have a additional generator to stop overheating so they just rely on one power in the end. It's a cutting edge technology they explained. So sometimes in the nowadays, the marketing or the kind of profit is the top priority. So even though this company explained this salmon is the perfectly safely, separated from the ocean, or it cannot breed to wild species, but I cannot believe so much, so not so easily actually. Yeah.
Anyone else? Last thoughts on the genetically modified salmon? Is it safe? If it isn't safe? Okay. Well then, did you guys have any other questions about the article about vocabulary or anything else you heard? I forgot to ask. No? If you guys do think of some, you're welcome to put them in the chat box or anything. So I have a few other conversation questions that I wanted to go over with you, such as how food relates to culture. So how do you think food and culture mix, and why is food an important part of culture? Lee, will you start off for us?
Sure. I think food and culture always go together. Food sometimes is a symbol of the culture. For example, when I'm not sure, but when we talk about Vietnam, my country, we often talk about phở, PHO. It's very, very popular in Vietnam, and it's a symbol. It's like it's a it's a very specific when we talk about Vietnam. And when we talk about Western culture, we often talk about steak or potato or bread.
Mm-hmm.
And Eastern culture, we talk about rice. Yeah, always with rice. And in Indian or in Middle East, we often talk about some wheat. I think they often eat some. It's like a very I don't know how to say it, but um, every country and every culture will have some specific food for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they're gonna figure out what's in the food, and through the food, they're gonna know about their culture.
Totally.
Mhm.
Ksenia, what are your thoughts
Yeah,
on food and culture? How do they mix? Why do they mix?
food because maybe because we live in different areas in some country can grow only potato or some kind of corns, and the other, like Thailand, can grow some tropical fruits. So they for sure will eat tropical fruits, and in Russia we will eat potato and corns. But
Mm-hmm.
actually, it also depends on climate. So if a winter country also the citizens should eat more energetic food with a lot of calories because it's really cold, and to heat our body we need to eat a lot fat sweet food. But in some tropical countries near the sea, they can eat protein like fish, shrimps, and it will be okay because they don't need the warmth in the body.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, it depends on climate actually.
Jair, tell us a little bit about how and why culture and food mix.
I think culture and food match. For instance, when I think about Italy, I always remember about pasta, maybe wine, and pizza as well. And when I think about Brazil, we have a traditional meal here called feijoada and a drink called caipirinha. And when I think about Russia, for instance, I always remember vodka, okay? And the US fast food, maybe. And yes, I think food is a part of culture. Okay?
Definitely. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Food is definitely a part of culture. Ken, any other thoughts about how food and culture mix and why?
Maybe another aspect of relation of food and culture, the food get over the cultures very easily. If that food is tasty, people would like it, even though that this culture and this culture conflict each other. But the food get over such kind of thing very easily. Many
Mm-hmm.
people can complain about about food actually. So that I think that could be the reason why the kind of political leader negotiated in the dinner table. Always dinner accompanied with such kind of negotiation kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe it maybe food has such function as well.
Definitely. Yeah, I think the social aspect is important as well. I mean, it's how people bond and it's related to traditions, a lot of traditions. They have like specific foods that are common, and so they're like so linked to memories and childhood. It's pretty cool. Adela, welcome to class.
Hello, Michaela. I apologize to connect so late. Sorry.
That's okay. So we've been talking about food and genetically modified food, and we're just talking about food and culture and how the two relate. So do you want to talk a little bit about food and culture, or maybe tell us a little bit about your family and let us know who's the best cook and why?
I think each culture have a food, types of food and a dish, a special dish, very different for one or another country, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And about the modify organism modified genetically, I think was a is a problem for people very interested people or companies in this area exactly.
So what are the negative parts of genetically modified food?
Um, I think they are different things, but it's a business. Monsanto, etc., have oppressed the farming and South America, etc., for the different grows. And I think they have very control. Can be affect to the organism, to the body,
Mm-hmm.
because they put different genes of to modify, to resist the antibiotics, etc.
Mm-hmm.
To resist the different types of soil. I think it's not so good.
All right. So we've got a few minutes left. This time I want to do a quick little project in the chat box. I want you guys to describe your favorite food. So maybe your favorite meal, and include the beverages that you might drink with it, and tell me when is a common time for you to have it. Is it like a weekend meal, or is it breakfast? Is it a holiday sort of thing? Tell me all of the things that it includes, how it's cooked. Give me all the good details. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to write and put it in the chat box when you're ready. And I'll share one of mine as well. I'm going to screen share a picture of one of my favorite dishes. So this is one of my favorite foods, and it's my favorite because it's so easy to prepare. It's pretty healthy, and it's really comforting too. It's like hearty. You know, once you're done, you feel like, oh my God, yes, I just ate a big, delicious meal. And it's vegetarian, of course, or at least my version is vegetarian. I don't know if this version is vegetarian. But what it is just a stir fry that uses peanut butter and soy sauce and vegetables or pasta or whatever you want. You could do almost anything with this, but basically you just stir fry some vegetables and throw in some pasta, some cooked pasta if you like. And then the sauce is made out of peanut butter, soy sauce, and a little bit of water if it's a little too thick or too strong flavored. And yeah, it's so easy to make. It's quick. I usually do it in just one pot, so I would not do the pasta probably, or I would make the pasta and put it in a bowl while I was making the rest. So I don't have much cleanup to do afterwards. And yeah, oh, it's so delicious. I like to drink wine sometimes with dinner, but not all that frequently. So probably I would just have water. All right, let's see what you guys like to eat. I see one from Adela. I like Arabian foods, especially tabbouleh. It's a salad with couscous, mint, lemon, green and red peppers, raisin tomatoes, olive oil. So looks like she's sharing a picture for us. Looks delicious. When you say menthe, is that menthe lemon? What do you mean? Oh, mint, maybe? Mint?
Yes, it's mint. This is green leaves.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, tabbouleh is delicious. And where do you usually get that from? Do you make it yourself?
Yes, I make it.
Whoa, impressive. Very cool. And do you make it frequently or for special occasions?
In summer, in
Nice.
summer, um,
Cool. Jair, you said you were ready. Oh, excellent. I'll read yours and then you can go ahead and tell us more about it. So churrasco is my favorite meal. I usually make it on weekends. Churrasco is a barbecue which originated in the south of Brazil. It uses a variety of meats, pork, sausage, and chicken, which may be cooked on a purpose-built churrasqueira. Purpose-built? What do you mean?
We built a special place to cook the meat, and it is very traditional in the southern Brazil. And we usually build just for this, for barbecue churrasco, you know. We don't use it for anything more.
How often do you eat churrasco?
I usually eat once or twice per week, because here in the south we grew up eating churrasco every weekend, so it is traditional. And we don't have once a week, for instance, okay, the week is not good, you know.
So you miss it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So we're still waiting for a few of those paragraphs. Oh, here we go. Got one in the Google chat from Ken. Oh, man. Ken, will you read yours? I can't get to it right now.
Okay. Vietnamese pho is one of my favorite dishes. It is rice noodle with plain tasty soup. I always add coriander on it.
Sounds delicious. Do you make this yourself?
Actually, I buy instant one actually. No, so I don't know the authentic Vietnamese one.
It's super delicious. Do you have it all the time? It sounds pretty convenient.
Yes, I like it. So I often eat it. Yes, kind of delicious food.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you, Ken. The next one I see is from Lee. I like spring rolls. It's made, probably say they because you said plural. They are made by rice, sheet, round pork, mushroom, taro shrimp. We put a small amount into rice paper, roll it, and fry it. Oh my God, that sounds so good. How often do you have that, Lee?
I often have it every week or every other week because it's not too complicated to have it. So no, to make it because okay, let me share my picture with you. So do you see it?
Yeah, they look so good. Now,
Yeah,
is that like a dinner food or is it an appetizer kind of thing?
I think it's like a appetizer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, or it can be a snack. Yeah,
Yeah, it looks delicious. I love egg rolls also. I've
yeah.
never made them, but they look good.
Okay, let me how to.
All right, Ksenia, you're the only one who hasn't gone yet. Do you have a food you'd like to share with us?
Yes, right. In Google, it's pilaf, and also I eat it with Coke.
So what is it?
It's pilaf. I can share the picture. It's like rice with meat, carrots, and garlic.
Oh, I love garlic.
Yes, it's really tasty. I can eat it in cold, in hot, and a lot.
What makes the rice yellow?
It's some kind of spices. It's carrot actually can make it yellow. Curry, berries, and something like that.
Yum. Do you make it frequently or is it special occasion food?
Actually, I don't make it at all. My mothers do it, or my husband's mother, or my mother. Not me.
Got it. But do you eat it a lot?
Yes, actually, one time at every every month. So I think yes, it's a lot.
All right. Any last thoughts before we wrap up class, guys? We talked about a lot today, and thank you all for coming. If you have any lasting questions, just let me know on my Verbling inbox.
Okay.
Thanks, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you very much. Bye.